Hello, wonderful people. Justin here to talk about a sharing component for your website so that you can have your users share to Mastodon. Turns out Mastodon got kind of popular of late, which is cool. And thank you, by the way, for all the kind notes that you all have sent in regards to one of my setup articles, which some of you have used. Kudos on setting up your new instances. But with the popularity comes the question of, well, Justin, I need some means to allow people to share things from my blog or my art website or something of that like to Mastodon. But it seems a little tricky, and indeed it is. So a couple of years ago, I had written a tiny web component, as I often do, that allows you to do this. And I recently updated it to version 2 to make life even simpler and faster. So what are we looking at? We're looking at my site. Because, we've got to put it somewhere. And down here, I've got a list of links. Now, I don't use other share-related buttons or any of that jazz because those buttons are terrible for perf and for so many other janky reasons. But the Mastodon one, the reason it's a web component is because you have to have some notion of where you want the instance to point. And so this component uses nothing more than web platform dialog in version 2, which when I originally wrote this a couple years ago, dialog hadn't shipped yet on the platform. And so what it does is it allows you, or your user rather, to define what instance they would like to share to. Now, I've got this pointed at obviously my instance because that's where my Mastodon account is. And I remember it for my website against my local setup. So this uses local storage. It doesn't talk to anything. It doesn't talk across domains. It is isolated and not chatty. Primarily because I don't want to be one of those crappy buttons that we all remember on the web, which make me sad in my performance heart. So this does have some nifty features besides the fact that it uses dialog, which again has shipped everywhere. One, it also uses data list, so you can pump it full of things that your users might be using. So maybe they're on Mastodon.social, or maybe they're on Fastodon, or one of the various instances that have lots of users. So you can actually define this. It's got some defaults that I threw in there just for the sake of things. But this is actually a data list. So the cool thing about this little component is very tiny. It is based on lit. If you have an existing lit build, it only weighs about a K, 1.1, depending on how much you hit it with a hammer. But under the hood, it's basically got a slot. So in this case, I have it as text. The documentation on GitHub, you can see that you can style it however you want. You can feed the slot to your heart's content, and it will render whatever you want. And you click it, and it'll open that dialog as so. All of this is stylable. Again, it's in the documentation. There are custom CSS props. There are attributes. Here you can see that I have set the message to setting up Mastodon on Google Cloud, blah, 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 with a link. If we click share, it's going to open that window to wherever I'm pointed to. So in my case, Roberto.social, I'm signed in, so it doesn't ask me to sign in. If you're not signed in, it will ask you to sign in. And then there's the message. Yay, I can hit publish, and away we go. So that's all this does. It just guides you to that path. It does not track that. I don't have any notion of how you use it. That's up to you. Under the hood, again, it's very light. It's all pretty standard stuff. That data list is a literal data list. Again, this is a web platform feature. Some people don't know about it. It's been around for a long time. It is really nifty when you have things like inputs that are type URL and you want to feed them some stuff. You can kind of think of it like a pseudo combo box, if you so please. But again, it's light. There's no fanciness here. That's just HTML. Same thing with the dialogue. Again, it's all very nice and simple form. So that's all this component does. Hopefully it is of use to you. If it's not, hopefully it inspires you to make stuff. It is on NPM, the latest version, so you can go and pull it. Version 2 is now fully covered. I did write tests for this version. Version 1, not so much. And if you don't want to install it with NPM, you can install it via CDN. I do put a JS deliver ESM run link in there. So if you want to copy and paste it in your WordPress installer or whatnot and throw some of the code in here like such to create a button, you can. There's a little fiddle right here if you want to play with it. But yeah, that's it. Again, hopefully you found this of interest, and hopefully maybe it is useful to you. And if it's not, maybe it'll inspire you to write or author a better share-to-mastodon web component. So this has been Justin. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you all later.